Like whatever, whether you be very, very well known for something that you're good at, that's not the same as being seen. To be seen is not to be perceived as perfect or to be agreed with. Like people that see you are not just people that agree with you. That's important. Like this stuff is not just woo-woo. I thought it was. Like everybody don't gotta be your best friend. This is not about someone being your best friend. People can not be your friend at all and see you. Hi, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to Authentic. And I'm trying something new today. I'm trying a more Zen vibe for myself so I can communicate messages in a more grounded way. And also because I think it'll be of service to anyone listening. So I'm gonna get right into the video. Today, I wanna talk about visibility versus being seen. And this is something that I stumbled upon learning in the past year or so. I did a lot of Googling. I'm not gonna lie, some ChatGPT assistance was there before I deleted it because it's terrible for the environment and it's quite literally a demon that was summoned by Elon Musk and friends, and they don't know what they're doing.
With artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon. You know all those stories where there's the guy with the pentagram and the holy water, and he's like, yeah, he's sure he can control the demon. Didn't work out.
Not enough regulation on it, but I guess that's another conversation for another day. Today, I do want to talk about strictly how visibility is not the same as being seen, because this is a problem that contributes to the loneliness epidemic that we see in today's generation, men and women. A lot of people are just lonely in the most interconnected time of human history. We have social media, we have ways to interact with arguably everybody in the world if they had internet connection. Yet we just find ourselves extremely, ever more increasingly lonely. Like we have the ability, we have the means to connect, yet we are dealing with loneliness. And I just think that this topic is something that is not talked about a lot. It can be used personally and like on the scale of, evaluating the world. And so, yeah, I want to talk about how visibility is not the same as being seen. And I'll use myself as an example first. As someone who is like, you could just kind of take inventory, right now and see the kind of person that I am. Like, what do you see? I'm a woman, I'm Black. I have, broad shoulders or something. I'm not standing up, but I have like a semi-athletic stature. And growing up, the same things that people may celebrate about you whenever you're an adult is not the same as whenever you're a child. So growing up, I was oftentimes, not ostracized, because socially I've always had friends, but I felt like I wasn't as feminine or as good as the other girls. I'm re-editing this, and what I meant to say was I didn't feel seen to be as feminine as my female friends and like the other girls that I was around, and etc. And I think this ties into visibility and being seen very well, because things that I couldn't control or help, like my skin complexion and how I was genetically built, let people feel confident questioning my femininity. It wouldn't even necessarily be things that I did, the things that make the content, the character of a person. It would just be the projection. I want to talk about visibility. Visibility is just the act of seeing, but seeing isn't just the act of vision, like in a more esoteric, philosophical, emotional sense. And that's what I'm talking about today. I'm talking about being seen as a person, outside of what you present yourself as, outside of what people perceive you as. I have a lot of notes here because I'm excited. And I wrote down notes so that I could structure my thoughts. And visibility, my opinion, it could be fame, status, or even proximity. As far as status goes, status could be in the form, status could be a few things. I wrote 3 examples for status. For athletes, principals of schools, and local leaders. Random, but true. Did I say what it could be? Okay, I said fame, status, or proximity. I think fame is self-explanatory. I just explained status. And proximity, I put 4 examples of what proximity can be. And the first one is coworkers, the second is acquaintances, the third is family, and the fourth is community. I think those were all the things I could think of that would make me feel like those people that think they might know you, or people that could actually say that they know you but wouldn't know you. Like, your coworkers know who you are. Your coworkers know your first and last name. They know what car you drive even. They even know how often you get paid, because they have the same, like, you guys work at the same place. With all that in common, you may not, your coworker may not even know your favorite color. Like, the things that make you a unique person, not the things that we can just obviously see. And that's what I really want to get at. Like, being seen is pretty much things that a person possesses beyond the physical, presentation of it. A lot of people, myself included, get hung up on the physical presentation of a person, and we genuinely assume the internal, we assume the rest based off of what we can see physically. And that, in its finest form, is judgment, but neither here nor there. And I'm gonna be looking down a lot this video, like way more than I think I do in previous videos. Usually I just pop up the camera and I start talking like off the top of my head, but I really wanted to structure my thoughts, and I had so many that I wanted to hit on, and I wanted to make a well-rounded argument or conversation or proposition in a decent amount of time. So that's why I'm going to be looking down. But my next point that I want to hit on, let me define what being seen is. And I'm going to give two definitions to this. I'm going to give like the actual definition, and then I'm going to give my definition or my interpretation of it. Feeling seen or being seen, the actual definition, is a state in which part or parts of our identity, emotions, needs, and or physical presence gets fully recognized through various means. That's real. My personal definition is being seen is to be perceived clearly, without bias or expectation, just like emotional vision. And I want to unpack my definition in cohesion with the actual definition, because I think it's kind of the same thing. To be seen is not to be perceived as perfect or to be agreed with. Like, people that see you are not just people that agree with you. People that see you are people that can even call you out correctly, because they just see you. They might see the reason why you do something. They might actually raise a question that makes you understand why you do something. Someone who sees you is someone who recognizes that there's more to you than just what meets the eye. So they're willing to ask questions. Like, people who see you are people who are more interested in, the word I used was dimensions of you, because there's a physical dimension, there's also there's a spiritual, there's an emotional, there's psychological. And I am of the belief that people are made up of who they are internally, and the physical is just like the last barrier of presence. Like, things that are physical tend to be like just what you can see, but the things that make up what you can see tend to be intangible. And that's a little bit of a deviation. But once again, being seen is not just being yes man. Being seen also isn't just being celebrated for something you're very good at. This is why a lot of celebrities and athletes struggle with loneliness. A lot of athletes and celebrities struggle with loneliness because they are known for something that they do. Maybe it's being a very good basketball player, or like soccer player, whatever, football player, or you're a phenomenal singer, actor, actress, whatever it is. That's why I also listed fame, like whatever, whether you be very, very well known for something that you're good at, that's not the same as being seen. That's the premise of more than an athlete. A lot of athletes say, I'm not just gonna shut up and dribble, because there's more to them than just what meets the eye. We might know people for something that they're good at, but that's not the entirety of who they are. Constantly not evaluating that, constantly not acknowledging different parts of people when they show you who they are, is a way to make people feel unseen. We have an epidemic of people feeling unseen. That's what loneliness is. Because loneliness, I'm starting to become of the belief that it's not just a physical place of being, it's a state of mind. Because loneliness in its truest and purest form is being in a room full of people and still feeling alone. That's what I think real loneliness is. That's like the loneliness that's a precursor to jumping off a cliff or something. You know, like, I'm just being real here. Loneliness isn't simply, if it was simply just being alone, all you would have to do is go be around other people to fix that. And that's an easy task. That's just math, basic math, 1 + 1. The reality is, if you go around people who do not relate to you, understand you, willing to hear you.
I actually didn't complete my thought after that clip, but the reality is if you are in a room where you do not feel seen, not understood, not connected to the people in there, you will feel 10 times more lonely than you ever would by yourself.
To be in a room where you're seen means that you're in a room where there is accountability. You're in a room where you would be challenged or are encouraged to be better. And that can come in different ways. It's because you're in a place where your spirit is being fed, or a place where your spirit can be fed. If left unchecked, I think this is what we are seeing in Hollywood. I think this is what we're seeing all over the place. It's not just Hollywood. The suicide rate is just astronomical. It's like on a vertical trajectory. Because I will be honest, I moved out on my own, and I've been living on my own as a 27-year-old woman for the past year and like month. And this has been a life-changing experience, and it's not just because of the rent. It's quite literally because I have no distractions to get away from real issues of the world, if that makes sense. I never would have thought I'd be caring about visibility not equating to being seen until I recognized that I was around people who could see me like visually, but were not seeing me, were not hearing me, did not want to reciprocate, did not want, people can't even ask how I'm doing, but they can see that I'm a compassionate person. You can see that I'm an empath, but you can't ask how an empath is doing. Things like that. And that's a very dangerous concoction to constantly be around. I believe, and I'm speaking out of experience, it can lead to questions of self-worth, self-esteem, just overall value. And the thing is, none of those things are actually in question, or none of those things are the reason why you're not being seen. There's also a level of seeing other people that a lot of people have not reached, which is why I also want to talk about how we navigate the gap there. Because expecting people to just wake up and start seeing you is also a really good way to break your own heart. It's not something that everyone cares about. To be quite honest, it's not something that everyone is going to do. A lot of people may never even ask themselves, am I being seen? Hey, what could I do to be a better friend? What could I do to make other people feel like I care about what they're going through? And I'm not saying you have to be someone's therapist, but the people that you say you love, if you haven't asked them how they're doing in the past year, then do you love them? What do you love about them? Do you even know them? Do you even know how they're doing? Because once again, all we can do is assume how things feel based on how we feel things. To never have someone ask you how you're doing is a really bad thing. It's a really not great dynamic to be in. If you are in a relationship with someone who never asks how you're doing, if you have a friendship, like a relationship does not have to be romantic. When I say relationship, I mean in connection, in community, in fellowship on a semi-frequent basis with someone who does not even care about your inner person. That's a very dangerous thing to be around because, like I said, it can lead to feelings of self-inadequacy. And that is why I said my point earlier of, I think in its finest form, loneliness is being in a room full of people. Full of people who don't know who you are. And that's rough. It's enough to have anyone questioning their identity feel like they're not enough. And for some people, it can result in, a different extreme. And one of those extremes I want to hit on, other than death, is identity crisis. Because I think this could be the reason why we see so many people regurgitating similar identities.
Yeah, I don't think I hit on this either, but I think the identity crisis that I'm about to talk about stems from not being seen. Like, this is my opinion, but I believe that what I'm about to talk about stems from people putting on different faces from not being seen with their real face.
I feel like a lot of people have an identity that could be summarized, I don't know, into, do they talk? Yeah, they can speak, but it's like, you can learn so much about a person just by looking at their style and listening to how they talk. Where do you get your influence? Is any of this an original thought? I feel like a lot of personalities, a lot of people that I've run into, their personality does not feel original to me. It feels like something that they think other people would like because it's an influencer personality. And that's why Instagram sucks now, because everyone is trying to be like big dog. Everybody is trying to be like, follow me. Everyone can't follow everybody. Everyone can't be the big dog. Like, that makes no sense. Not how it's supposed to go. And that's another conversation. But I put a bullet point down here that says, if left unchecked, like your environment, if your environment is left unchecked and is full of people who don't see you, it can lead to negative thought loops, and it gets harder to stop those because you're ingesting poison. And the poison you're ingesting is actually just not being stimulated. These thought loops arise because your brain is trying to rationalize why you feel empty in a sense. You feel empty because you're not stimulated. You're not stimulated because you're not being seen. You don't feel connected in the deepest parts of like your being. That's important. Like this stuff is not just woo-woo. I thought it was like, everybody don't gotta be your best friend. This is not about someone being your best friend. People can not be your friend at all and see you. I kind of cooked. I'm gonna go back to that note. I'm gonna go into something a little bit because these thought loops arise because your brain is trying to rationalize why you feel empty in a sense, and it doesn't care about the why. It just needs a why. That why is anxiety. The why can be negative, but it is indeed an answer. If it's a lie and it's wrong, it doesn't matter because it's an answer. And I think that's something we need to understand about psychology, just about ourselves. Our brains like soothing. Our brains like to not be under stress. Our brains are constantly trying to keep us at equilibrium, at homeostasis. And inflammation, stress causes inflammation. Like, it's actually just trying to do its job. Your brain is just trying to help. Brain's just trying to help. However, the brain, you can't logically get through everything. This is why we need Jesus. For one, first and foremost. This is why we need Jesus. We need stability. We need that intangible emotional structure. Your brain just wants to soothe things out. And when these thought loops become patterns, it becomes harder to think. It becomes harder to not think this is just who you are. Like, you're a person who just thinks badly about themselves. Like, we can become our thoughts. All people are subject to becoming their thoughts. And so what you meditate on mentally, what you tell yourself, the negative thought loops, they have to stop for this reason. You'll start to believe the things you say about yourself that are a lie because your brain is just trying to calm itself down. This is why overriding your own emotional thought process, to put logic in there, is important, especially as a woman, especially as a person. We see so many emotionally unstable and volatile men, and it can manifest differently. I think women tend to be less violent, but it can get violent. A man is stronger if he gets violent, and a woman's evolved. A woman might just be like, shit, a nigga might just be. All I'm trying to say is it's important to get those emotions, those thought loops under control. And it's important to understand where those thoughts are coming from in the first place, because it may not just be a bad day. You know, like, maybe you have insecurities, like we all do, about ourselves that an action triggered and really makes you feel like that's a part of who you are. Maybe someone validated unintentionally an insecurity that you have about yourself. That is something that you have to recognize, and that is something that I have to recognize. Like, that's something that we have to recognize and take accountability for ourselves. Another person triggering you or triggering me is not the other person's fault. Whether the other person meant to or didn't, it's not necessarily their fault. The only thing I could ever do is be grounded. The only thing I could ever do is choose to respond correctly, because it doesn't matter what someone says in theory. If a person is trying to say something to get me out of character, it really matters what I say now. It really matters how easy I get out of character now, because if their intention is to get me in trouble, if their intention is to get me, looking crazy, they can do that if I don't have the ability to override my own emotional state. Once again, if left untreated, things get worse. The outlook on life and people may become bleak. Believing nobody gets you in a world full of people is a hard thing to experience and could lead to feelings of hopelessness in the idea of basic human connection. This belief that others cannot and will not meet your needs is what is contributing to the suicide rate. That's a real thing. I think I kind of hit on that, and I don't want to. I'm not a professional of anything, and so I don't want to harp on that. But I just want to speak out of my humanness and the best that I know, and say that those feelings, I think, are traceable to maybe lack of community, to lack of connection, to lack of someone telling you, hey, you're tripping. That's what being seen also looks like. Being seen, like I said, it means accountability is there. Being seen means that there's someone there who will tell you when they think you're right or wrong. It's a person who sees different dimensions. It's a person who has depth. It's a person who understands the nuances, or is trying to understand the nuances of life, and how important that is in conversation, because it is. How important that is in relationship, because it is. It is. It's genuinely super important. Like, having depth, having range, super, super important. We've lost the art of community. We've lost the art of conversation. And it's reflecting in the suicide rate. It's reflecting our ability to maintain relationships, whether it be platonic or romantic. Romantic relationships are the dating pool. It's not even a pool. It's a swamp. So many people are struggling with basic relational reflexes. I can't lie. And that is not okay. That's not good. That's not all right, okay? It's also calculated and is due to these phones. I promise you, the only reason, not the only reason, but one of the main reasons that this is picked up is because we feel a false sense of connection to the people that we meet online. Because until the suicide rate drops, until I start seeing niggas singing in the rain again for some cooch, until I start seeing women sing about how they really want to make some food for their man, until I see the love come back, I'm fully convinced and sold that our attention and focus has been hijacked and streamlined to other places and people. That's all for a reason, and that's one of my main reasons, my main, catalyst for making this video, for having this page even.
So I actually figured this would be a pretty good place to stop. This video is actually 40 minutes long, and I'm at the halfway point. So I will be posting a part 2. And if you watch this, thank you so much. And